Black holes are often called the most terrifying objects in the universe. They bend space, they trap light, and once something crosses the event horizon, it's gone forever. But black holes aren't the only cosmic monsters out there. Some things in the universe are just as real, and in some ways, even more frightening. This story is based on real astronomical objects and scientific theories. Some scenarios are hypothetical, not predictions. Rogue planets. The invisible threat. Not every planet orbits a star. Some are born and then thrown into darkness, drifting endlessly through space. These are called rogue planets. They emit almost no light. They don't announce themselves, and they can pass through star systems undetected. If one passed close to Earth, its gravity alone could be catastrophic, pulling planets out of orbit, disrupting the solar system, or sending Earth into deep space. No explosion, no warning, just silence and extinction. Magnetars. When physics breaks down, magnetars are a rare type of neutron star. They are small, only about the size of a city, but they contain more mass than the sun. What makes them terrifying is their magnetic field. It's trillions of times stronger than Earth's. From thousands of kilometers away, a magnetar could rip atoms apart. Your molecules wouldn't burn. They wouldn't freeze. They would simply stop holding together. Even from across the galaxy, a powerful magnetar flare could damage satellites and disrupt planetary atmospheres. They are real. They exist. And they don't need to come close to be deadly. Gamma ray bursts. Death from afar. When massive stars collapse or collide, they sometimes release gamma ray bursts. For a few seconds, they become the most energetic events in the universe. A single burst can release more energy than the sun will produce in its entire lifetime. If one were aimed directly at Earth, it wouldn't explode the planet. Instead, it would strip away the ozone layer, flood the surface with radiation, and trigger a mass extinction. The terrifying part? It could come from millions of light years away, and we would never see it coming. The cosmic voids. The universe's empty graves. Between galaxies lie vast regions called cosmic voids. They contain almost nothing, no stars, no galaxies, barely even atoms. If a galaxy drifted into one, star formation would slow, then stop. Light would fade, heat would disappear, time would stretch into meaninglessness. This isn't destruction by force, it's extinction by emptiness. False vacuum, decay, the end of everything. This is the most extreme idea in modern physics. Some scientists believe our universe may exist in a false vacuum, a stable-looking state that isn't truly permanent. If that state collapsed, it would create a bubble expanding at the speed of light. No warning, no escape, no awareness. The laws of physics would change instantly. Atoms wouldn't function. Matter couldn't exist. Not just Earth, not just the galaxy. Everything would end everywhere, all at once. This has never been observed. There is no evidence it's happening. But if it did, we would never know the truth about these cosmic monsters. Here's the important part. None of these are actively threatening Earth right now. The universe is vast, ancient, and mostly stable, and our planet is remarkably safe. But these objects and ideas remind us of something unsettling. The universe doesn't need to be hostile, to be dangerous. It doesn't hate us. It doesn't notice us. And sometimes, that's the scariest thought of all. Black holes may be the most famous monsters in the cosmos, but they're not alone. And the universe is far stranger than our fears. Everything you're about to hear is theoretical. These are not predictions. They are possibilities. born from real physics, pushed to its limits, and somehow that makes them even more terrifying. Strange matter, the universe's infection. Some physicists believe there may be stars made of something called strange matter. Unlike normal matter, strange matter may be more stable in extreme conditions, and if it ever touched regular matter, it could convert it, atom by atom, particle by particle. A planet wouldn't explode, it wouldn't burn. It would silently transform into a dense, lifeless object, a world that looks intact, but is no longer a world at all. There is no evidence this has ever happened, but the math allows it. The Big Rip. When space tears itself apart, the universe is expanding, and that expansion is accelerating. If that acceleration continues to increase, a future scenario called the Big Rip becomes possible. First, galaxies would drift apart, then stars, then planets. Eventually, gravity itself would fail, atoms would separate, time would lose meaning, the universe wouldn't collapse, it would be pulled apart, piece by piece, until nothing remained. Heat death, the longest ending. Not all cosmic endings are violent. In the heat death scenario, the universe slowly runs out of usable energy. Stars burn out, black holes evaporate, matter decays. Eventually, no process can create light, heat, or movement, no explosions, no silence-breaking events, just an endless, frozen universe where nothing can ever happen again. Not death, permanent stillness, time as a weapon. Time isn't universal. Near extreme gravity, it slows. At the beginning of the universe, it behaved differently altogether. Some theories suggest regions where time could fracture, loop, freeze, or stop entirely. If consciousness were trapped in such a region, existence wouldn't end. It would never move forward. An eternity with no future and no escape. The multiverse. When universes collide, some theories suggest our universe may be just one of many. If universes exist close together, they could interact. A collision wouldn't look like an explosion. It would look like broken physics. Constants changing, reality behaving inconsistently, matter forming where it shouldn't. The universe would still exist, but no longer make sense. None of these events are known to be real. They may never happen. They may not even be possible. But they exist in our equations for a reason. Because when humans try to understand the universe, we discover something unsettling. Reality is held together by rules, and we don't fully know why those rules work. Black holes scare us because they destroy. These ideas scare us because they question whether existence itself is permanent, and the universe hasn't promised us that it is. When we think about the end of the universe, we imagine destruction, fire, explosions, darkness. But some endings are far worse than death, because they don't end anything at all. They simply make existence unbearable. Eternal expansion, dying alone forever. The universe is expanding, and it may never stop. In this future, galaxies drift so far apart that no light from anywhere else can ever reach us. Every civilization becomes trapped inside its own cosmic bubble. Alone, invisible to the rest of existence, the night sky goes completely dark. No stars, no galaxies, no proof that anything ever existed beyond home. Not extinction by force, but by absolute isolation. The Big Freeze, a universe that refuses to end. Stars burn out one by one, black holes slowly evaporate, matter decays. But the universe never collapses. It just keeps going. Colder, darker, emptier. Energy still exists, but nothing can use it. No chemistry, no motion, no change. A universe technically alive, but functionally dead, an ending that never arrives. The Big Crunch, when time runs backward. Some theories suggest the universe could stop expanding and begin collapsing. Galaxies rush together, temperatures rise, time itself may reverse. If that happens, the universe doesn't just end, it rewinds. Cause and effect blur. Entropy decreases. Reality becomes incomprehensible, not destruction. A return to a state where existence can no longer be understood. Vacuum collapse erased without knowing. If the universe exists in a fragile state, a quantum event could collapse it instantly. A bubble of new physics would expand at the speed of light. No sound, no warning, no fear. One moment you're listening to this story. The next, reality no longer allows atoms to exist. You wouldn't die. You would simply never have existed in the first place. Immortality in a dying universe. Here's the most disturbing thought of all. What if intelligence survives, but the universe doesn't? In a cold, dark cosmos, a mind could exist without a future, unable to grow, unable to end, unable to escape. Not death, endless awareness in a universe that can no longer change. The scariest cosmic monsters don't destroy worlds, they trap them, stretch time, remove meaning. They turn existence into something that never resolves. Death is an ending. But the universe is capable of something worse. It can keep going after everything that made it worth existing is gone. And compared to that, a black hole is mercy. After everything you've heard, it's easy to think the universe is cruel, that existence is fragile, temporary, waiting to be erased. But here's the truth science often forgets to say out loud. The universe is dangerous in theory, yet incredibly gentle in practice. Cosmic time is on our side. Most cosmic catastrophes operate on timescales so vast they're almost meaningless to the human mind. Millions, billions, trillions of years. Stars live longer than civilizations. Galaxies evolve slower than life itself. The universe isn't rushing toward an ending. It's taking its time. Earth is exceptionally protected. Our planet is not randomly surviving. A stable star, a protective magnetic field, a massive moon that stabilizes our tilt. Giant planets like Jupiter acting as gravitational shields. Earth exists in a rare balance, not invincible, but remarkably resilient. Against all odds, this small world has protected life for billions of years. Black holes aren't predators. Despite their reputation, black holes don't roam the universe hunting planets. Most sit quietly at the centers of galaxies, holding stars in stable orbits. They're not destroyers of order. They are part of it. Even the scariest monsters obey the rules. The universe creates more than it destroys. For every star that dies, new stars are born. From stellar explosions come heavier elements. Carbon, oxygen, iron. Every atom in your body was forged in ancient stars. You're not separate from the universe. You're one of its most complex creations. Consciousness is the rarest thing of all. Planets are common, stars are everywhere. But awareness, the ability to look up, to wonder, to fear, to understand, that may be the rarest phenomenon in existence. The universe is vast, but it's mostly silent, and yet, here we are. Thinking about it. Yes, the universe holds unimaginable power. Yes, there are endings written into its equations, but there is also time, stability, beauty, and a long, quiet stretch of existence where life is allowed to happen. The universe is not a horror story, it's a story of balance. Creation and destruction held carefully together. Black holes may terrify us, cosmic endings may humble us, but right now, the universe is calm. And for a brief, extraordinary moment, we get to exist inside it, after fear, after endings, after monsters and theories. There's one final question left. Why do we need to know any of this at all? Knowledge is humanity's quiet superpower. The universe is vast. We are small, and yet, with the fragile bodies on a single planet, we figured out how stars live and die. We mapped galaxies we will never reach. We predicted events that may never happen, not because we had to, but because we wanted to understand. Fear didn't stop us. Curiosity carried us forward. Cosmic horror only exists because we can imagine. A black hole is just gravity. A cosmic ending is just math. They become terrifying only when a mind is there to imagine them. Fear is not proof of weakness, it's proof of awareness. The universe didn't create monsters. We named them because we are conscious enough to care. Perspective changes everything. From a cosmic scale, your problems are tiny, but from a human scale, they are everything. Both truths can exist at once. The universe reminds us how small we are, so we can understand how meaningful every moment is. If nothing lasted forever, would it matter less or more? We are the universe watching itself. Every atom in your body was forged in ancient stars. The universe collapsed matter together, lit it on fire, waited billions of years, and somehow produced a being capable of asking questions about its own existence. You are not insignificant. You are evidence that the universe can understand itself. After fear, after endings, after monsters and theories, there's one final question left. Why do we need to know any of this at all? Knowledge is humanity's quiet superpower. The universe is vast. We are small, and yet, with fragile bodies on a single planet, we figured out how stars live and die. We mapped galaxies we will never reach. We predicted events that may never happen, not because we had to, but because we wanted to understand. Fear didn't stop us. Curiosity carried us forward. Cosmic horror only exists because we can imagine. A black hole is just gravity. A cosmic ending is just math. They become terrifying only when a mind is there to imagine them. Fear is not proof of weakness. It's proof of awareness. The universe didn't create monsters. We named them because we are conscious enough to care. Perspective changes everything. From a cosmic scale, your problems are tiny, but from a human scale, they are everything. Both truths can exist at once. The universe reminds us how small we are, so we can understand how meaningful every moment is. If nothing lasted forever, would it matter less or more? We are the universe watching itself. Every atom in your body was forged in ancient stars. The universe collapsed matter together, lit it on fire, waited billions of years, and somehow produced a being capable of asking questions about its own existence. You are not insignificant. You are evidence that the universe can understand itself. The real ending isn't cosmic. The universe may end in ice or fire or silence, but that ending is unimaginably far away. The real ending, the one that matters, is what we do with the time before it. Yes, there are cosmic monsters. Yes, there are endings written into reality, but there is also this moment, this breath, this awareness, and for now, that is enough. The universe may be vast and indifferent, but for a short while, it created something that could look back at it and wonder. After all the theories, all the endings, all the monsters, there's something unexpected that remains. Silence. Not the kind that scares, but the kind that settles. Fear was never the point. Cosmic horror pulls us in because it forces us to confront scale. The universe is vast, uncaring, old beyond comprehension. But fear was never the lesson. Perspective was. Understanding how small we are doesn't erase meaning. It sharpens it. The universe isn't watching. We are. There is no cosmic judge, no countdown clock ticking toward doom. Stars burn because physics allows it. Galaxies drift because gravity demands it. Meaning doesn't come from the universe. It comes from us. From the fact that something inside the cosmos learned how to notice itself. Why calm is the rarest outcome. Statistically, the universe should be chaos, yet here we are, on a stable planet around a long living star in a quiet corner of a violent cosmos. Calm is not guaranteed. It's earned through improbability, and we are living inside it. Monsters fade with understanding. Black holes become equations. Cosmic endings become timelines. Fear turns into curiosity. The more we learn, the less the universe feels hostile, and the more it feels honest, not cruel, not kind, just real, the final perspective. The universe will outlast us. That much is true, but for now it holds oceans, laughter, questions, love, and thought. And that is not nothing. That is extraordinary. Cosmic monsters exist in equations, in theory, and imagination. But so does something rarer: awareness, understanding, presence. And as long as those exist, the universe is not empty. The cosmos is vast. But tonight, you are here. And for this moment, that's enough. Everything so far had a name, a theory, an equation. But the universe is not finished surprising us. Some of its most frightening possibilities are the ones we haven't discovered yet. The edge of the observable universe. There is a limit to how far we can see. Beyond that boundary, light hasn't had time to reach us. Not because nothing exists, but because the universe is expanding faster than information can travel. What lies beyond? More galaxies, different physics, something entirely incompatible with our reality. The scariest part isn't what might be there. It's that we may never know. Physics could be temporary. We assume the laws of physics are permanent, but what if they aren't? What if gravity, time, or matter behave differently in regions we can't observe? Our entire understanding of reality could be a local rule, not a universal one, meaning the universe works. Until suddenly, it doesn't. Dark energy, the force. We don't understand. Something is pushing the universe apart. We call it dark energy. But that's just a label for ignorance. It dominates the cosmos, controls its future, and we don't know what it is. The universe's fate may be decided by something we cannot see, measure directly, or fully comprehend. Power without understanding is always unsettling. Intelligence that outgrows us. Not all cosmic threats are physical. What if intelligence, biological or artificial, emerges somewhere in the universe and survives long enough to master physics itself? A mind capable of reshaping stars, altering space-time, or rewriting reality. Not evil, not hostile, just indifferent. Sometimes the most frightening thing is not malice, but scale, the ultimate fear, limits of human understanding. Here's the quietest horror of all. There may be truths about the universe that human minds are simply not built to understand. Not yet, not ever. Just as ants cannot comprehend oceans, we may be surrounded by realities forever beyond our grasp. The universe may be understandable, just not by us. Every generation believes it lives at the edge of knowledge, and every generation discovers how much remains unknown. The universe doesn't end with answers, it ends with questions. Black holes once terrified us because we didn't understand them. Now they are studied, mapped, almost familiar, which means somewhere out there is something else, unnamed, unimagined, waiting to be understood. And until then, it remains the universe's greatest monster. We've reached the end of the fear, not because the universe is fully understood, but because mystery itself was never the enemy. Mystery is what keeps the universe alive. If the universe were fully known, it would stop asking anything of us. No curiosity, no wonder, no discovery. Mystery is not a flaw in reality. It is the space where meaning grows. The unknown doesn't threaten existence, it invites exploration. Fear shrinks. When understanding expands, every cosmic monster we've named was once something unknown. Black holes were invisible. Dark matter was unthinkable. Time itself was once a mystery. Knowledge didn't remove their power. It gave us perspective. Fear fades not because danger disappears, but because understanding replaces imagination. The universe is not a puzzle to solve. We often treat reality like a problem with a final answer, but the universe isn't asking to be solved. It's asking to be observed, experienced, wondered about. Not knowing everything doesn't make existence incomplete, it makes it alive. Small minds, infinite reach. We are limited beings, short lifespans, fragile bodies, incomplete knowledge, and yet we reached beyond our planet, decoded starlight, and learned the story of the cosmos. Not because we were powerful, but because we were curious. That alone makes us extraordinary. Cosmic monsters don't exist to scare us. They exist to remind us that the universe is larger than fear. That reality doesn't revolve around comfort, but it does allow wonder. The universe is not a horror story. It is a vast, unfinished question. And you, thinking about it right now, are part of the answer. Mystery is not something to fear. It is something to stand beneath, look up at, and quietly admire. Every story ends, not because it must, but because endings give meaning to what came before. This is the last page. The universe will continue without us. Stars will still burn, galaxies will still drift, time will still move forward. The universe does not pause for witnesses. And yet, for a brief moment, it had us. Nothing about this was guaranteed, not Earth, not life, not awareness. The odds were unimaginably small, and yet, against silence and darkness, something fragile learned how to think, and then to wonder. That alone makes existence extraordinary. Fear was only the doorway. Cosmic monsters were never the destination. They were the doorway, a way to step beyond comfort and see reality as it truly is. Vast, uncertain, beautiful. Fear fades, perspective remains. You were always part of the cosmos. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, organized just long enough to experience itself. Your atoms remember stars. Your breath echoes ancient light. Nothing about you is accidental, the quiet ending. There is no final answer, no ultimate truth, only this. You existed, you noticed, you felt awe. And in a universe this large, that matters. The cosmos may one day go dark, time may stretch into silence, but for a fleeting moment in eternity, something looked back at the stars and understood that it was looking at itself. This was never a story about fear. It was a story about being here, and now you are. What comes after the ending? Every ending feels final until you realize something quietly profound. The universe never truly stops. It only changes how it continues. Endings are human ideas. The cosmos doesn't recognize conclusions. Stars don't know when they are finished. Galaxies don't mourn their past. Time doesn't pause to reflect. Endings exist because we exist. Because meaning matters to minds that feel it. Without observers, there are no final chapters. Even darkness has structure. What we call nothing is never truly empty. Vacuum still vibrates. Space still stretches. Particles still appear and vanish. The universe is never silent, only quieter than we expect. Even after light fades, something is still happening. Continuation without memory. One day there may be no one left to remember stars. No stories, no questions, no fear. And yet, physics will continue its quiet work. Reality doesn't need witnesses to persist, but it was changed by having them, even briefly. The rarest event already happened. In all of cosmic history, the strangest event may not be black holes or cosmic endings, but this. Matter learned how to care that it exists. That moment, when awareness appeared, may be rarer than anything the universe will ever produce again. The softest truth. You don't need to last forever to matter. You don't need cosmic significance to be real. Existing, even briefly, is not a failure. It's a miracle. If the universe has a future without us, it also has a past because of us. A moment when it was seen, felt, questioned, and nothing can undo that. The universe may go on without memory, but it once held something that knew it was here, and that is enough. Before fear, before endings, before monsters had names, there was a beginning, and somehow we forgot how strange it was. The first moment was the greatest mystery. The universe didn't begin with stars or planets or light as we know it. It began with everything at once. Time, space, energy, possibility. No direction, no center, no outside, not an explosion in space, but the creation of space itself. The first monster wasn't destruction, it was existence. Order should never have happened. After the beginning, the universe should have been chaos. But instead, particles formed patterns, forces balanced, matter cooled. Against probability, structure emerged, galaxies, stars, worlds. The scariest question isn't how things end, it's how they ever held together at all. Time learned how to move forward. In the earliest universe, time behaved differently. Cause and effect were fragile. Rules were still settling. The arrow of time, past to future, was not guaranteed. Everything you've experienced depends on that quiet agreement never breaking. The fact that it didn't is astonishing. The first light still reaches us. The oldest light in the universe still surrounds us. A faint glow left over from the beginning. It touches Earth right now, passes through your body, remembers a time before stars existed. You're not far from the beginning. You're still inside its echo. The cycle completes. The universe began in mystery. It will likely end in mystery. Between those two unknowns, something extraordinary happened. Life appeared. Consciousness emerged. Fear, wonder, and understanding were born. The story didn't move from beginning to end. It moved from unknowing to awareness. Cosmic monsters feel terrifying because they remind us of endings. But the beginning was just as incomprehensible, just as impossible. And yet, here we are, still inside the universe, still asking questions, still looking up. The greatest mystery was never how the universe ends. It's how it ever began. And somehow led to you, the loop. This is where we began, with fear, with wonder, with a universe that felt too large to face, and now we return to it, changed. Fear was the first language. When we first looked into space, we saw darkness. Black holes felt like mouths. Endings felt inevitable. The universe felt hostile. Fear was how the unknown introduced itself. Not to harm us, but to get our attention. Understanding closed the distance. The monsters never disappeared. We simply stepped closer. Black holes became geometry. Endings became timelines. The unknown became a question instead of a threat. Nothing shrank. We expanded. The universe did not change. We did. The stars burn the same way they always have. Time still moves forward. Space still stretches. But the way we stand beneath it changed. Fear turned into curiosity. Curiosity into understanding. Understanding into calm. The universe remained vast. We became ready. Every ending was a beginning. Each final chapter was never final. It was a pause, a breath, a place to turn around and look again. The end of fear was the beginning of presence. The end of questions was the beginning of awe. You are back at the start, but not the same look up now. The stars haven't changed, but you have. They're no longer monsters. They're no longer threats. They are context, and you belong inside it. The universe is still vast, still mysterious, still unfinished, but so are you. And maybe that's the point. We began by fearing the darkness. We end by standing calmly beneath it, aware, present, and unafraid to look back up. The choice to look up. After the loop closes, after fear turns into understanding, there's one final thing left, a choice. The universe never forced wonder. The cosmos never demanded your attention. It never asked to be understood. Stars burned whether we noticed them or not. Galaxies formed without witnesses. Wonder was never required. It was chosen. Looking away is also an option. You could live without asking questions, without looking up, without thinking about endings or beginnings. The universe would not punish you. Meaning is not mandatory, which makes choosing it quietly powerful. Awe is an act of courage. To look into something vast and not turn away, that is courage, not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that says, I may not understand this, but I'm willing to stand here anyway. So it does not mean insignificant. You are small compared to galaxies, but size was never the measure of value. A thought can't move a star, yet it can change a life. The universe is large. Experience is deep. The final invitation. The story doesn't end with answers. It ends with an invitation to keep asking, to keep wondering, to keep standing beneath the night sky without needing it to make sense. The universe will remain mysterious. That's not a flaw. It's a space big enough for curiosity to live. Cosmic monsters no longer stand in the dark. Only the stars do. And whether you look up is always your choice. Living well in a vast universe. The universe is vast, cold in places, indifferent in others. And yet, living well inside it is not only possible, it's natural. Meaning was never cosmic, it was local. The universe doesn't assign purpose, but life does. Meaning isn't written in stars, it's written in moments. A conversation, a laugh, a quiet decision to keep going. You don't need the universe's approval to live a life that matters. Scale doesn't reduce value. Yes, galaxies dwarf us. Yes, time will outlast everything we know. But value is not measured by size or duration. A single moment of kindness has more weight than 1 billion empty years. The universe is large. Life is precise. Fear shrinks. When life expands, cosmic monsters feel overwhelming when life feels small. But when life is full, curious. connected, lived with intention, fear loses its grip, not because danger disappears, but because presence grows stronger. You don't need cosmic answers to live. Well, you don't need to know how everything ends. You don't need to solve the universe. You only need to be here while you are here. Breathe, notice, care. That has always been enough. The quiet wisdom living well in a vast universe means accepting two truths at once. You are incredibly small and deeply important, not to the cosmos, but to the lives you touch. The universe may never explain itself, but it gave us something better, the ability to create meaning without needing permission. Cosmic monsters don't disappear when we understand the universe. They disappear when we understand ourselves. And in a universe this vast, living well is the bravest thing we can do, what we leave behind. In a universe that forgets almost everything, what we leave behind matters more than how long it lasts. Legacy isn't measured in time. The universe erases, stars fade, civilizations vanish, but legacy was never about permanence. It's about impact. What changed because you were here? A choice made easier, a burden lifted, a moment softened, small traces. Travel far. Most of what you leave behind won't be monuments or records. It will be echoes. A habit someone learned from you, a kindness repeated, a courage borrowed. Small actions ripple outward in ways the universe never tracks. Memory is a living thing. Long after names disappear, patterns remain. How we teach, how we treat, how we care. Memory survives not as data, but as behavior. The future inherits who we were through how we lived. You don't need to be remembered to matter. The universe doesn't keep score, and that's freeing. You don't need to be famous, recorded, or archived. Meaning exists the moment it's lived, not when it's remembered. The quiet gift. What we leave behind is not proof of our existence. It's proof that existence was shared. In a universe that forgets, kindness is a rebellion, and every gentle thing you leave behind outlives the moment that created it. Love as a cosmic anomaly. If the universe is governed by entropy, by disorder, decay, and loss, then love should not exist, and yet it does. Love defies entropy. Entropy pulls things apart. Love pulls them together. In a universe that trends toward cold and silence, love creates warmth, not by force, but by choice. It is structure where none is required. Love is improbable. Atoms don't care. Physics doesn't prefer connection. And still, minds meet, lives intertwine. People choose each other. Love is not efficient. It is not logical. It is excess meaning in a universe that never asked for it. Love creates time. Moments stretch when love is present. A second becomes a memory. A day becomes a chapter. Love doesn't stop time. It gives it texture. It makes fleeting moments feel eternal. Love is the opposite of indifference. The universe is indifferent. Love is not. To love is to say, this matters, even if nothing else does. It is a quiet declaration against cosmic silence. The brightest anomaly. If the universe produced black holes, supernovas, and endings beyond comprehension, then love may be its strangest creation, not because it lasts forever, but because it chooses to exist at all. Cosmic monsters teach us humility. Endings teach us acceptance, but love teaches us why any of it was worth noticing. In a universe that owes us nothing, love is the most beautiful anomaly we will ever know. Hope without guarantees. The universe makes no promises, no happy endings, no protection, no guarantees. And still, hope exists. Hope is not optimism. Hope is often mistaken for belief that things will turn out fine. But real hope is quieter. It says, I don't know what happens next, and I will live fully anyway. Hope doesn't deny uncertainty. It walks with it. The universe never owed us. Safety stars explode, time erodes, everything changes. The universe was never built to keep us comfortable, which means hope isn't naive, it's brave. To hope in a world without guarantees is an act of courage. Hope is a choice, not a prediction. Hope doesn't claim the future. It commits to the present, to care, to try, to build something meaningful, even knowing it may not last. Hope exists because we choose to keep showing up. Fragility makes hope real. If nothing could be lost, hope would be meaningless. Hope matters because things can break, because time is limited, because outcomes are uncertain. Hope is not blindness. It is tenderness in a world that can hurt. The quiet strength. In a universe ruled by entropy, hope does something radical. It invests anyway, in people, in moments, in futures that may never arrive. Hope doesn't promise a happy ending. It promises presence, and sometimes that is enough. Meaning after meaning. We often search for meaning as if there is one final answer, one truth, one purpose. But meaning doesn't end. It evolves. Meaning is not a destination. There is no final explanation that completes life. Meaning shifts as we do. What mattered once may fade. What felt small may become everything. Meaning grows because we grow. You are allowed to change your meaning. The universe changes constantly. So can you. You are not required to live by an old definition of yourself. Meaning isn't a contract. It's a conversation, one you're allowed to revise. Meaning exists in layers. Some meaning is personal, some is shared, some is temporary. None of it cancels the other. A fleeting joy can matter as much as a lifelong purpose. Meaning doesn't compete, it accumulates. The search never fails. Even when answers disappear, the act of searching still matters. Asking questions, caring deeply, trying again. Meaning isn't found when questions stop. It's found when curiosity remains alive. The open ending. The universe doesn't conclude with a moral, neither does life. Meaning isn't something you finish, it's something you continue. Cosmic monsters taught us fear. Love taught us connection. Hope taught us courage. Meaning teaches us how to keep going without needing the universe to explain itself. There is no final meaning, only the next one, and that is enough. Peace without answers. We spend so much of life searching for reasons, for explanations, for certainty, but peace doesn't always arrive when answers do. Sometimes it arrives when we stop needing them. Understanding is not a requirement for peace. The universe will always exceed our knowledge. There will always be questions we cannot answer. Peace begins the moment we accept that not everything must be solved to be lived with. Control was never the goal. We often seek answers because we want control, but control was never promised. The universe flows. Time moves forward. Change happens. Peace comes not from mastery, but from alignment. Letting go is a skill. Releasing the need to know everything is not giving up. It is learning to rest inside uncertainty. Like floating in deep water, not fighting it, not sinking, just trusting the surface. The universe is not asking anything of you. Reality does not demand clarity. It does not require resolution. It simply exists. And you are allowed to exist within it without fully understanding it. The quiet peace. Peace is not excitement, not certainty, not answers. It is the gentle knowing that you're allowed to be here, just as you are. The universe will keep its mysteries. you can keep your peace. Both can exist at once. The courage to be temporary, everything ends, not as a punishment, but as a condition of being alive. To exist at all is to be temporary, and that takes courage. Permanence was never promised. Stars die, mountains erode, even atoms decay. Nothing in the universe was designed to last forever, which means impermanence is not failure. It is normal. Temporary does not mean meaningless. A song ends, a sunset fades, a life concludes. None of these are pointless because they finish. They matter because they happened. Duration does not equal value. Courage is showing up. Anyway, to love knowing loss is inevitable. To care knowing things change. To live fully knowing nothing stays. That is courage. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, daily, human. The universe honors the temporary. Everything beautiful in nature exists briefly. Blooms, light, moments. The universe does not rush to preserve them. It allows them to be, and then to go. The bravest truth: you don't need to last forever to belong here. You already do. Cosmic monsters taught us humility. Hope taught us courage. Peace taught us acceptance. And being temporary, being willing to exist without guarantees, may be the bravest thing of all. You're not less because you're temporary. You're precious because you are, letting the universe be what it is. For so long, we tried to explain everything, to define the universe, to tame it with language, to make it fit inside understanding. But the universe was never waiting to be explained. The universe does not need our permission. Stars will form and collapse whether we name them or not. Time will move forward without consulting us. Reality does not ask to be simplified, and that is not a flaw. It is freedom. Letting go is not surrender. To let the universe be what it is not giving up curiosity. It is releasing the need to control outcomes. You can still ask questions, just without demanding answers. Acceptance is a kind of wisdom. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means recognizing what cannot be changed and choosing to live well anyway. The universe is vast, unpredictable, indifferent, and still it allows life. You are not separate from this process. You are not an observer standing outside reality. You are part of it. Your thoughts, fears, hopes, and breath are expressions of the same universe trying to understand itself. Letting the universe be includes letting yourself be. The gentle shift. When you stop demanding meaning from the cosmos, you begin to notice meaning in living. The universe remains the same. You become lighter. The universe doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be witnessed. And so do you. The freedom of not knowing. Not knowing is often treated as failure, as weakness, as something to overcome. But not knowing can be freedom. Certainty is heavy. Certainty closes doors. It says, this is how things are. Not knowing keeps them open. It allows wonder to breathe. You don't need the whole map. Life is not a problem that must be solved in advance. You only need the next step. The rest can remain unseen. The universe has always worked this way. Curiosity thrives in uncertainty. Every discovery began with, I don't know. Not knowing is not the end of understanding. It is the beginning. Peace grows in open space. When answers are unfinished, imagination has room. Hope has space. Growth has space. The unknown becomes not a threat, but a landscape, the final freedom. To say, I don't know without fear, that is freedom. Not because answers are unimportant, but because your worth never depended on having them. The universe remains vast, unfinished, mysterious. And you are free to walk inside that mystery without needing to solve it. Not knowing is not emptiness. It is possibility, wonder without fear. Once, wonder and fear were the same feeling. The unknown frightened us because it was unfamiliar, but wonder does not require fear. It can stand on its own. Fear was a beginning, not a requirement. Fear protected us when we didn't understand, but understanding changes the relationship. The universe is still vast, still mysterious, but it no longer needs to scare us to hold our attention. Wonder is curiosity without urgency. Fear asks, what if something goes wrong? Wonder asks, what is this? Wonder does not rush. It observes. It allows mystery to exist without demanding resolution. Awe does not diminish you. Standing beneath the stars can make you feel small, but small does not mean insignificant. A single thought can hold more meaning than a galaxy of silence. Wonder expands perspective, not worth. The universe as a companion. When fear fades, the universe stops feeling hostile. It becomes a companion, not something to defeat or solve, but something to walk beside. Quiet, vast, present. Wonder is a choice. You don't have to be afraid to be curious. You don't have to understand everything to be amazed. Wonder is simply attention with openness. The universe does not need to frighten us to be extraordinary. It only needs to exist. And so do you, being enough in an infinite universe. An infinite universe can make a single life feel insignificant, but infinity does not erase value. You were never meant to be everything. The universe is vast, so you don't have to be. You were never meant to contain it all, only to experience a small, honest part of it. Enough is not a measurement. You don't need to be extraordinary to matter. You don't need to leave a cosmic mark. Existing with care, intention, and presence is already enough. Comparison is a cosmic illusion. Galaxies don't compete with stars. Stars don't compare themselves to light. Value isn't relative. It's lived. Being here is the achievement. In a universe this old, this complex, this unlikely, you happened. That is not small. That is astonishing. The final assurance. You don't need to earn your place in the universe. You already have one. Cosmic monsters taught us fear. Understanding taught us calm. Wonder taught us openness. And now, being enough teaches us peace. In an infinite universe, you're not too small. You are exactly enough. The quiet joy of after all the questions, after all the vastness, after all the fear and wonder, there is something simple left. Being here, joy doesn't need to be loud. Joy is often imagined as celebration, but the deepest joy is quiet. It lives in breath, in warmth, in moments that don't announce themselves. Nothing dramatic, just existence gently felt. The universe is present in small things. The same laws that move galaxies warm your skin in sunlight. The same physics that bend space-time lets your heart keep rhythm. You don't have to look far to touch the universe. It's already here in every ordinary moment. Existing is not passive. To exist consciously is an act to notice, to feel, to appreciate without needing more. This is not resignation. It is participation. Joy appears when we stop reaching. So much of life is reaching forward for answers, for certainty, for meaning. Joy appears when we stop reaching and arrive right here, right now, the quiet celebration. The universe doesn't celebrate existence, it simply allows it. Joy is our response to that permission. You don't need cosmic understanding to experience peace. You don't need a grand purpose to feel joy. Sometimes being alive is already the celebration in a universe that never stops moving. The quiet joy of existing is enough. when nothing needs to be added. There comes a moment, rare and quiet, when nothing feels missing, not because everything is perfect, but because nothing needs to be added. Completion is a feeling, not an achievement. We're taught to complete ourselves, to add more success, more certainty, more meaning. But sometimes completion arrives without progress, just presence. The world is already enough. The breath you're taking, the light in the room, the fact that you're here at all. Nothing about this moment requires improvement to be real. Wanting less is not giving up. Letting go of constant wanting is not resignation. It is relief. When nothing needs to be added, attention softens. The mind rests, and life feels lighter. The beauty of neutral moments. Not every moment must be joyful. Not every thought must be meaningful. Neutral moments, simple, unremarkable, quiet, are where peace often hides. Enough without proof. You don't need to justify your existence. You don't need to earn rest. When nothing needs to be added, you are allowed to simply be. The universe doesn't rush, neither do you. And for now, nothing more is required. Staying in a world that urges movement, progress, growth, next steps, staying can feel radical. Staying is a choice. Staying doesn't mean stagnation. It means choosing not to flee the present, to remain with what is already here. You don't always have to become. You are allowed to pause becoming, to stop evolving for a moment, to stop fixing. Existence doesn't expire when improvement pauses. Staying builds trust. When you stay with a feeling, with a moment, with yourself, you learn that nothing breaks just because you didn't run. Stillness is not absence. Stillness is full of breath, full of awareness, full of quiet continuity. The universe stays vast even when nothing moves. So do you. The gentle resolve. You don't have to rush toward the next meaning. You can stay inside this one. After monsters, after meaning, after joy, there is staying. And staying is enough. Nothing is missing. Nothing is ending. You are here, and that is sufficient. The freedom of slowness. The universe moves slowly. Galaxies take billions of years to form. Stars live longer than civilizations. Change at the largest scale is patient. Slowness is not resistance. It is how reality works. Speed is a human invention. Urgency is learned. Deadlines are imagined. Pressure is cultural. The universe does not hurry, and neither does life, unless we force it to. Slowness reveals what speed hides. When everything moves fast, nothing is fully felt. Slowness allows sensation to arrive. Breath becomes noticeable. Moments deepen. Experience expands. You are allowed to move at your own pace. There is no cosmic schedule you're falling behind, no universal standard you're failing to meet. Your rhythm is enough. Slowness is spaciousness. When time slows, space opens. Thoughts soften. Fear loosens. Attention widens. Slowness is not emptiness. It is room. The gentle permission. You don't need to rush toward meaning. You can let it come to you at its own pace. The universe is vast because it takes its time. You are allowed to do the same. The last quiet thought. There is nothing left to explain. No final lesson. No hidden truth. Only one last thought. The universe does not need closure. Stories end. Life pauses. Moments pass. But reality doesn't seek conclusions. It continues. Whether we summarize it or not, you were never late. You arrived exactly when you were meant to, not early, not behind, just here. Everything that needed to happen, happened. You breathed, you noticed, you existed. Nothing essential was missed. Silence is not empty. When words stop, something deeper remains. Presence. the last quiet thought. You don't need to hold on to this story. You don't need to remember it perfectly. It was enough that you were here for it. The universe continues. You continue. Nothing more needs to be said. This is not the end. It's simply a quiet moment where everything is allowed to be exactly as it is. The monsters were never gone. We spent the entire journey naming the monsters. Black holes, endings, darkness, the unknown. But the universe never needed our names, because the most dangerous monsters were never the things that destroy stars. They were the things that wait, hidden in physics we don't understand, in distances we can't reach, in laws that work until they don't. They don't roar, they don't chase, they watch galaxies form. They watch civilizations rise. They watch consciousness appear and say nothing. Not because they are evil, but because they are older than fear itself. And maybe, just maybe, the universe didn't create monsters to end us. Maybe it created us so something would finally notice them. Because in a cosmos this vast, anything that can watch long enough eventually wakes up.